Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm just going to call our panelist, Shai Raz, please, if you can join us and take a seat. Ned and Stefan. Michael, unfortunately, had to cancel yesterday at the last minute, and he was supposed to moderate this panel, not me, but I wrote the question, so I know kind of what to ask the guys. Okay? Okay, so let's just start quickly by if you can introduce yourself. Ned, let's start with you. Ned from the Ritz-Carlton.
Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. My name is Ned Capillaris. I'm from Sydney, Australia. I've been with Ritz-Carlton for 19 years. It's my 8th hotel at the Ritz-Carlton Herzliya, and it's very nice to be in Israel. Good morning.
Shai Raz.
Boker Tov. My name is Shai. It's a bit difficult to talk in English in Israel, but okay.
Make an effort. Make an effort.
I'm working for Leonardo Hotels, which is the European arm of Fatal Hotels Group. You all know Fatal from Israel. We have 70 hotels around Europe, plus the 35 in Israel.
And Stefan.
Well, good morning. Thanks for having us. My name is Stefan Tveres. I'm the CEO of Snapshot. We are a late-stage startup in the business intelligence area for hotels. We try to integrate as much data as possible to give general managers, regional managers, and owners the one true perspective on all their data that concerns hotels.
And Stefan, your background is quite interesting. It's actually not really from the hotel industry or the tourism. It's from Google and McKinsey.
Yeah. No, I know the hotel industry only from the other side of the check-in counter.
The nice side.
Quite extensively. Well, it depends. Yesterday I arrived at my hotel at 2 o'clock in the night, and the nice girl at the reception desk said, bear with me for a couple of minutes, just have to restart my system. So that's kind of the not so nice part of the other side of the counter, but still.
At least it worked.
It worked, I got my room, and I had a perfect night of sleep in lovely Tel Aviv. But as you said, I'm not from the hotel industry, not from the hotel tech industry as such. I have a consulting background and then worked a couple of years for Google as the manager for the German operations.
Very nice. And Shai, actually, we go quite a long way with Shai. Shai's been, how long have you been out of Israel for? Ever?
Same as you.
I'm back.
Best part of 15 years.
So in France, Spain, and now in Berlin as well?
Belgium and, yeah, now in Berlin.
So, and Shai as well, you worked, other than the Fatal Group, Leonardo, you worked before for Kempinski and for the IHG Group as well?
Yes, I worked for the IHG Group and for Kempinski, and also for you.
Also
long time ago.
Yeah. He did a small internship with me. That's why he's so successful, correct? He learned everything from me. So, no, that's, which year was it? 2000?
2000.
2000. Wow. So, yeah. So 2000, I just joined Las Vegas Sands. It was after
2001.
Yeah, 2001. And so Shai came, and being a patriot, I decided to take an Israeli to do his internship with us while he was doing his MBA, and he joined us. And Ned, we actually met here, but through a common friend, through the Jensch family. It's a common friend of, you worked with him at the Ritz-Carlton with Bob.
Correct.
And they are friends of us from Las Vegas. He used to be with Marriott and Ritz-Carlton. Now he's a VP for hotels for the whole chain of station casinos. And they have many casinos in Las Vegas. So that's a lot of connections here. So let's start by just looking in general at the hotel industry. And when you look at what is happening today, I think that there are a lot of challenges, but that's kind of what brings the opportunity to explore is the hotel chain in general. They are under pressure, they're under attack with anything to do with their core business model. So if you look at, and it's been going for a while, but it's been getting more and more difficult because of different disruptive in the industry and different technology. So if you look at the, originally you had the OTAs, which was a big challenge for companies like IHG or Marriott that were sold and franchise based on their distribution. All of a sudden, you know, really, why do I need to pay all these fees? And I can just go to Expedia or Booking or Priceline, or that's it, because there isn't too many other options today, and they can do it for me, and maybe it's cheaper, maybe I have more control, I don't need to sign an agreement for 30 years, etc., etc. Then came TripAdvisor in a completely different way and start writing guest reviews. Now, we were taught always that a brand is a promise. You know, promises are nice, but promises are often, people break promises as well. With TripAdvisor, I don't need promises anymore. I just go, I read, and I know it's, is it going to be what I'm expecting it to be, or it's not going to be. So to an extent, I mean, it's a great tool for users, but it's diluted the value of the brand as a promise and put much more pressure on the operator. And last but not least, obviously, is Airbnb, that has a lot of implication, is the biggest disruptive in the industry. First of all, as far as rate management, that before you knew that there are X number of rooms in town, and when it's busy, I'm just going to raise my rate from a revenue management, and if it's not, I'm going to lower. All of a sudden, when it's busy, I'm raising my rate, but all of a sudden there is more inventory in town, so it became something from a demand-supply elasticity. They changed completely that category. And on top of it, from a ownership perspective, they're also a disruptive, because now I can decide, you know, maybe I'm not going to make a Ritz-Carlton and spend all the money and, you know, and commit it for so many years. I can make it into a small apartment, and then I can rent it through Airbnb, and if it doesn't work out, I can change it back and rent it through, just change it into long-term rental, or if I want to convert it to condos, I can just convert it to condos. So as an owner of a building, you have just way more options. So my question to you, based on this environment, how do you see, what do you think today in your operation, and let's start with Shai for a second, is the biggest challenge? As an hotel operator, so you guys are both, so in the hotel industry, for the tech guys that are not familiar, you have three players. You have the owner of the building, you have the operator of the hotel, and you have the brand. Sometimes it can be all three of them are the same person. Sometimes two are doing one thing, the other doing another, and sometimes there are three different players. With Fatal in general, you are the brand and the operator.
Yeah, correct. Actually, you need to divide it. One thing is a challenge to get the customers, the user, and sometimes your biggest challenge is yourself. And we need to understand there's a lot of people here that don't work in the hotel industry. I just need to give a general. You're all programmers and very high-level softwares, etc. The hotel industry is not at this level. The hotel industry, in a lot of things, is what we can call low-tech. Most of the people that work in the hotel industry are not such a high level as a general in the business. So sometimes the needs of the industry are not so sophisticated as a lot of us think it is. And sometimes our biggest enemy is ourselves. We stop ourselves in the operation, a lot of back office systems. We have legacy systems. We have, I don't know if you know, travel agents are using systems from the beginning of the 80s. I mean, still, it's called global distribution systems. It's
70s, no?
78. But, and this is where the potential is. There's a huge opportunity for a lot of things. One thing from the user side, the user experience, all this Airbnb and all the rest, they forced us to innovate. Because if we don't have the best website, we need to get the customer from Booking and from Expedia, and the amount of commission that we pay on it is exaggerated. And from the back office side, there's a lot of operation efficiency that can increase our incomes. I will let later Stefan talk about it, but I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. We did one or two. A lot of our suppliers are Israelis in the terms of the tech product. It's not something out of this world, but compared to what's going on in Europe, we are ahead. So I mean, and we know there's even better things in the market, so I think there's a huge possibilities and opportunities both getting the customers is the website part and in the back office part.
So from your perspective, other than you, what is the biggest challenge? You would think that is the distribution, the cost of distribution, or you think that
getting the clients part is the distribution part. It's in the interfacing and integrating and getting the clients from the user experience part. Yeah.
And Ned, as an operator, so Shai is more coming from revenue management background and sitting in a corporate role and is looking at strategy and business development, and you are an operator. And we tend to forget often about the operator, especially when you're in the corporate world, because you're okay, they're just going to manage, you know, like whatever, we will do this stuff and it's far away, we don't know, we don't hear. Sure. Till it's too late. So as an operator, what do you think today, when based on the thing that I mentioned, what for you guys is the biggest emphasis or the biggest challenge?
Great question, Rom. You know, from a Ritz-Carlton perspective, it's a little different because we have so much of the global initiative. And I give a lot of guests and my colleagues the example that when I started working with the Ritz-Carlton 20 years ago, we had 35 hotels in our brand worldwide. And today we have 97 Ritz-Carlton hotels. So this is just within the Ritz-Carlton family. It's quick growth in 20 years. In the mid-90s, Marriott International bought the Ritz-Carlton because they wanted a luxury brand. And this was great for us because with the Marriott engine, sophistications, and technology, we had a chance to grow a lot quicker. So when you combine Marriott's brands today with the recent acquisition of Starwood, Marriott has 5,700 properties worldwide. So when I talk to my colleagues who start in orientation and say, I started 20 years ago with 32, now we have 5,700, it's a very exciting, news to share. The way that we do business and how the day-to-day is changing is that we had to change with technology as well. The recent acquisition with Marriott taking over Starwood and joining is because the Airbnbs of the world and Booking.coms of the world have forced the industry to change. And we're not the only international hotel company to do that. You see recently with Accor Pacific joining with Raffles and with Fairmont. We're doing this because we understand that we need to conduct business directly with our guests. And when you look at the loyalty side of it, today Marriott worldwide has 86 million loyalty card holders. So the idea is for those loyalty card holders to book directly to the hotels and to have that direct marketing channel. Where it makes it more interesting locally is that Israel is a unique market. You have a lot of the traditional traveler, you have the influence of the OTAs and the DMCs and etc. And a lot of these traditional channels are continuously being used. From the other perspective, the global traveler who's coming to Israel is also familiar to the Ritz-Carlton brand, and the majority of our guests are coming from the States. So this is the other angle that we take, which is an advantage, is that having these international brands and some of the technology that is built in makes our life easier. On the other side, we need to find new ways to have that direct contact with the local market, promotions, marketing, and etc.
So let me just piggyback on this question a little bit, and specifically about TripAdvisor. So when I originally was Las Vegas Sands, I don't remember what role I was at, but I was it and I wrote all this white paper, and it was really at the beginning, or at least we felt it was the beginning, that every review that is written in TripAdvisor has to be responded to. And obviously the operating team say, oh, we can't do it, we need more people. I said, like, what do you need more people? I mean, do you answer the phone? Yes. Do you answer email? Yes. Do you answer letters? Yes. But you don't want to answer a TripAdvisor review with so many people see it. So eventually we convinced them and we worked with them, and then they were proud of it because they were number one all the time, responding, etc. And what I've seen from an operator, and also talking to some of the technology, the startups that we see here, is that they develop all kind of things, and when they talk to the hotel guys, the operator are so focused today on responding TripAdvisor that whatever the technology is, they just want it to become, they use it for, can I get your feedback now? Because you want to address it as soon as possible. You want to recover if something went wrong and you want to address it. A company like, we have a company like How Was It? There is, that they do a lot of messaging. A lot around it is like the hoteliers like it because of this feature. We have a company like Routier that they do something completely different. They are on your Wi-Fi. They allow you to communicate in any way, and the hotelier just want to know, is it good or it's not good? It's good. I thought about, we're going to market to them other things, sell them stuff, but the operator wants it. So how important do you think it is, and is it an emphasis that comes from your corporate offices, and is it part of your KPI? Are you being measured by this?
It's extremely important initiative, and it's changing the world so quickly. And I'll be very honest, as a hotelier, TripAdvisor to start with, gray hair, sleepless nights, that alert can come at any time. And the positive side is that it keeps us on guard and keeps us focused on the guest experience. TripAdvisor is one measure, but as a Ritz-Carlton organization, we've worked very closely over the last decade with Gallup International, and the Gallup organization actually interviews all our guests post departure. So basically, that's another way of getting the feedback. From the perspective of the direct communication, the point you brought up, the instant messaging and what have you, it's crucially important. The closer we stay to the guest and the more we control the experience from the beginning, the better. Just to give you a couple of quick examples, with our guest in-house today, we have group WhatsApps, which is directly with the families or groups, so we can get things down on the spot as per the request, and also individual ones. So what we call at the Ritz-Carlton...
You set them up yourself at the hotel.
Correct.
It's not through a system that there is a group code and just link it to WhatsApp. You need to manually input.
Correct. We use the local initiative because we know that it's become very effective, and actually some guests communicate to us. Okay. So I'll give you an example. There's one couple celebrating the anniversary, so they wanted to have a special room and the occasion, so receive the WhatsApp, the photo, you can put the frame in the room and what have you. But from an internal perspective and on an international standard, we have what we call the Ritz-Carlton mobile app. So the mobile app, from your icon in the phone, our guests can make reservations, pre-arrival requests, and during the in-house phase, we can take requests from the guest. And it also has the tool built in that during departure, you can view your account and also check out. So this is something that we rolled out internationally. This is going back 3 years ago. And the idea was to also improve the experience, to also give that recognition to a reward member, and to avoid the queues on the arrival experience at the front desk. So we have dedicated mobile check-in counter. So basically that will eliminate all the traditional registration card signing, getting your key and running to your room.
We've seen quite a lot of companies that are focusing on the communication with the guests, because the hotels are so used to just answer, as I said, email, phone. Who wants to email or call today? But there's no system for the hotel to communicate, even though the customer wants to communicate. And I mean, you just gave a very good example of how the unit goes in a roundabout way to resolve a technical solution, because because there's just corporate could not provide a solution, and so Stefan, just what you guys are doing is actually very interesting because, I mean, we talked about the marketing challenges, all this stuff, but at the end of the day, one of the biggest challenges in the industry are the legacy system, the educated system. So we see a lot of great startups, a lot of solution. The hotelier, it doesn't matter, I mean, specifically here it's about the hotel, but it's in travel agency, the airlines are not much better. Cruise line, forget about it. Theme park, integrated resort, they're really all in the same ballpark. The old system, some of them have more money, less money, some of them do a little bit more than the other. But at the end of the day, one of the biggest challenge is to, when you develop something, is to implement it and to deploy it in a way that is easy, that you don't need, the hotels don't want to hear, oh, you have this great solution and I want it, but I need to take out my current vendor and I need to get rid of this and get rid of this. And so what kind of solution have you guys, first of all, what do you see in the market? And what kind of solution do you guys develop to resolve some of this challenge?
Thank you. What we see when we talk to our clients, switch to this one. Thanks. Thank you. What we see when we talk to our clients, and you have to remember we have that specific IT focus, obviously. There are many more challenges for international hotel chains, like finding the right property and finding the right location, all this stuff. But with our particular focus, we see three challenges. The first one is, and you can pick this up from the discussion so far, there are so many data sources out there that are relevant for the hotel industry. So many different sources of information that at the end of the day somehow have to end up with the operational team, with the GM of the hotel. And getting your hands on that data without having to log into 10 or 20 systems, having it kind of all in one place, and can be sure that that data is validated, that it's the one version of the truth that you can look at from the local perspective, the regional perspective, the headquarter perspective, from a strategic perspective, the operational perspective is kind of the first challenge that we get. Because just look at the various different sources of guest feedback. It can come in via TripAdvisor, via Facebook, via WhatsApp. You have to somehow consolidate it and share a common view on it, because there might be outliers, there might be exceptions, but you have to understand the pattern behind it. So that would be the first challenge. The second challenge that we see is take all that data, validate it, and then really put it in front of the people who make the decision. It cannot sit in a central data warehouse somewhere in corporate center that can only be accessed by IT specialists or data analysts or data scientists. It needs to be in front of the people who are actually guest-facing, be it guest-facing on the internet, at the reception desk, in the sales office. Everybody needs to have access to actionable data that can come from various sources. And the third element that we see is the required agility for hotel chains to actually then use that data. Today, it takes on average 7 to 10 years to change a PMS system in a hotel. If you compare that with other industries, that's Stone Age to a certain extent. And hospitality IT, and this might be disappointing for you guys as developers out there, is not a very nice industry to be in. To a certain extent, it's like the VCR your parents had at home, you know, that machine that came with a user manual that was like 2 inches thick, and all you wanted to do is press play and record. But you had to find that in that manual and in those 20 buttons. And that's what hotel IT to a certain extent is. I mean, how many legacy systems do you need to connect to simply get your hotel to work? And that lack of agility has been used by external competitors who take away a lot of the margin. When you look at the price lines and the Airbnbs and so on, what they basically did is they leveraged the agility of data-oriented companies and entered an industry that, for one reason or the other, is pretty slow. And bringing back that agility towards the hospitality industry is kind of the third challenge that we try to address somehow.
First of all, before we continue, if anybody has a question, please feel free to put your hands up, and we'll let you ask any questions if you want. So it's not just me, you know, if you have any feedback or anything like this. Is there a question? No, it was the flies. They were flying. You also do something interesting, is how you try to connect to the system. So basically, if I understand correctly, you are trying to connect to as many property management system, and you're providing the hotelier information in a dashboard manner that they need for their day-to-day operating, and you are giving it to them for free. It reminds me a little bit of Expedia. They used to come and tell us, oh, you know, we can market your hotel for free.
What we really want to do is give hoteliers their data back. If you operate a hotel and you pay for a PMS system, then you are often frustrated by how hard it is to actually get data in a reasonable format, at a reasonable speed, out of that system again.
Give me an example, like what type of thing you see on the
For
dashboard?
example,
What do
a
people
daily
ask for?
report that you get out of your standard PMS system, in most instances, is not really geared towards decision making. It's just a more or less stupid table that doesn't compare to past, doesn't compare to budget, doesn't compare to forecast, isn't forward-looking in any shape or form. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the reality. If you want to have a decent report out of your PMS system, it takes ages to do that, and potentially external consultants to provide that report, and it's very, very costly. What we at Snapshot first and foremost want to do is give the data back to the hotelier, and the data can come from a PMS system, it can come from your TripAdvisor feed, from your Facebook page, from your Twitter feed. All that needs to be at the fingertips of the people who make the decisions. And that's the first step. They need to own that data, and that data needs to be validated. And we take a lot of effort, and Shai knows that, and it's painful, to validate that data and to make sure that actually what's reported is that one version of the truth. And because those systems are so ancient to a certain extent, making sure that you get data out of that, that you then compare it to, let's say, last year's data, next year's data, forward-looking data, integrate more data sources, make it forward-looking, make it more intelligent, make it actionable, put it in front of the people who really matter, who can understand it, but who are not data scientists. That's kind of what we try to do.
And the goal eventually is, so one of the biggest challenges that I used to experience, people would come and tell me we have this great solution, and I said, great, can I use it without you talking to the IT department? And they say no. I said, talk to me in 10 years because I am too busy this year and it's never going to happen anyway, so why waste each other time? And seriously, sometimes I did it so many times, wasted each other time, that I was sometimes embarrassed for the vendors. Like, okay, we told you we can do it, we want to do it, we even bought it sometimes, oftentimes. That was the issue, was not money. Surprisingly, people think it's always money. It's not money. The issue was really implementing it and connecting it to this legacy system. Having an IT department, the first way, is afraid that you're going to take down any of the other system, which rightly so. I understand them, but they have a list that starts from that booth all the way down here, and this is just for this year. By the time they get the top 5, already the list changed 7 times because the operators, the needs are changing so quickly, and they just can't catch up, which makes it very difficult for the startups to really provide you the technology because they have a solution. They think, wow, it's great, but how do you connect the two of them together?
And at Snapshot, we want to kind of play that role of having as many PMS, for example, connections as possible, and then potentially offer hotels the ability to get other systems integrated via a Snapshot, so they don't have to worry about all those additional interfaces and so on. Because it's, as you said, if you work with a traditional PMS company, you can wait ages for an innovative solution to be implemented, and that's why the lack of agility in that industry has been used by external players. If hotels would be able to react more quickly and, for example, pick and choose from different applications and put it on top of their data, and thus adapt their systems to their processes and not the other way around as they currently need to do it, because currently they somehow have to fit their processes that they know would make them better in serving their guests, fit into their IT systems, which is ridiculous. It needs to be the other way around.
Thank you, Stefan. Shai, let's talk a little bit about revenue management. You do a lot of revenue management, or used to do a lot of revenue management. I used to do a lot of revenue management. And when you look at the environment today and what's happening with technology, I think that revenue management, the way we know it today, is gone. It's going to change. And I know about four new revenue management systems. I did not review all of them and see exactly what they do, but I don't think they're doing, I think they're doing the needs of yesterday and not the needs of tomorrow. But when you look at all the sites that are rebooking or cancellation sites, so the sites that you book your hotel and then you can go and cancel because the rate went down. I mean, you're not going to cancel, it went up. You look at a company, there is a company very interesting here from Israel, it's called Splitty. They have the ability, they use algorithm to split your rate. So if you want to stay a week in Las Vegas, and we price it at a certain point, they know, I mean, there are so many different combinations, but they have an algorithm in machine learning that knows how to shop and see, is it cheaper to book 3 nights and 4 nights? They go ahead and book it, and then you as a hotel, and that you would love it, you get a back-to-back reservation, which is the thing that the hotelier hates the most. Is to realize that it's the same guest really staying in the hotel, but it's 2 different reservations, and you need to link the 2 of them together. So this kind of thing also changed the whole notion of how we develop things like to make forecasts and pricing based on demand by lengths of stay. So do you see it already impacting, and where do you see revenue management heading, and how is it really impacting your rate management today?
Well, in Europe, we are behind America in general. Everything that happens in America will happen in Europe 5-6 years later, or 4-5
including recessions.
Touch wood. And it's also about revenue management. We, as a company with Israeli DNA, if you like, compared to others, are very aggressive in terms of rates and rate changes and things like that. I learned from you to sell for 1,000 euros a night. Our competitors are not doing it.
No, Mr. Alson insisted it's too much. He forced me to do $8.99.
There you go.
He said $9.99 is too much, $8.99 is okay.
So we use system, actually we developed systems. Talking about the revenue systems, I agree with you, they belong to the past. We developed, they have 2 components. One component is the data analysis part. The other component is all the forecasting and things like that. I'll give you an example. For the data analysis part, we developed something internal with Israeli companies without names that cost us maybe 30% of the systems of the outside and give us 85% of the solution. And it happens in 5 months versus systems outside that only the implementation will take 2 years. And that's why we like to work with Israeli companies, also because of our Israeli DNA, so we can adapt faster. With regards to these inventions, Some of them I like more, and some of them, as hoteliers, we like less. But yeah, the things will change. But it's affecting also our operation. For example, customers with better reviews. If customers is giving us a bad reviews and we manage to recuperate, usually we give him to book cheaper in the future and we make him a returning client. This easier to make it today than it was 10 years ago, you know? We had a customer that we took it from TripAdvisor and afterwards he wrote a positive review and we gave him to book somewhere else with a discount. All this data part of reservations, and it still need to be integrated. It's so new, I mean, it's, the hotels will need to react to it. I'm, as a pure revenue manager, I don't like it, but I don't have a choice.
And you've been working with Snapshot, correct? In Berlin, in Germany.
We started working.
And so, what kind of information do you get that you felt that is valuable that was difficult to get before, or you're not there yet?
We are validating the data now, okay. But yeah, there is no systems today that put you together the reviews, together with your internal data, together with your forecast. We develop our own, and we are midway, and we actually kind of combine what we develop our own with what they have.
Yeah.
But
well, one of the things, talking about reviews, I tried to do it years ago. I mean, and assuming that you have a data warehouse, you have a loyalty program, and you have a unique ID to each customer, what I wanted to do is I wanted to add their social scoring and the social value. And there are companies that give you this information, but to bring it together so you can look, okay, here is Rom Handler, he maybe stayed once in the Ritz-Carlton, but he has 30,000 followers in Twitter. I mean, he's probably, maybe not 30,000, but maybe a little bit more, but he's probably more important than a travel agent that came and get a special rate because they're booking some business, or even some journalist that is coming from some smaller publication, but you don't know it. So a lot of this information is lacking in how to really customize the experience and the level of service.
Yeah, it brings me to the next point, which is all about the CRM. Because the future, if I'm answering another question there, for the big chains is only about the loyalty. Because of all the other things, it's not only about price, it's all the loyalty and the CRM. And all this, there's so many systems that need to be integrated together, but I just need to explain it to everybody over here. What you talk about here is the higher end of the travel market. There's 90% of the market, or at least in the hotels in Europe, that are working on a technology level which is lower than that. And we're looking at all the startups, this is where the potential lies. Where we are talking now is the newest inventions that a lot of the market don't even know about it. So, I mean, we are trying to be ahead of the market, but I can find you today 300 hotels, 400 hotels only in Berlin that don't even answer TripAdvisor. You talk about TripAdvisor, I mean, they don't. Okay, TripAdvisor. Who cares in these hotels, yeah? So there's a lot of potential there of the moms and pops hotels in Europe. What we see with those things is, yes, absolutely, to link it to the CRMs and the loyalty program, and this customer that you talk about that I know is also socially active, if you like, because there's a lot of clients that answer 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Maybe I need to give him different treatment. Maybe I need to be careful, if you like, before he comes.
Kick him out of the hotel.
Yeah, put him in the nicer room just because, you need to give different, you need to personalize. This is on the back office part.
Yeah. So, Ned, we touched briefly CRM, and you talk about Ritz-Carlton and Marriott, and obviously now with the acquisition or merger with Starwood. I mean, so two sides, or maybe one is a comment. It seems like that the big hotel chain addresses the problem by, in this case, just buying a competitor, and there are different, I mean, there is an economy of scale, there is size, there is a much bigger loyalty program, which is definitely the stick or the glue that brings together the customers, because I've been to this brand, I want to be in that brand. But also, it seems like that some of the big hotel chains say, oh, here's Airbnb, and we just want to grow, and we really don't know what to do anymore, so we're just going to make up another brand, and another brand, another brand, because I can get this building, but it doesn't fit to any of my other brand, and then I get this building, it doesn't fit in my... And it's been working quite well for them on a growth perspective. I just don't see... I just don't see the long-term strategy. And by talking to, which brings me to the second part of it, is like by talking to the Marriotts and Hilton and Choice, I think they start getting it that just adding more and more brands, sometimes it's confusing and it's not necessarily the solution to, or the cure to Airbnb. But bringing it back to the CRM, so you have all these brands, and I am a loyal customer with Ritz-Carlton, but I don't have patience to all the cards and to know and write down and put my and like the points that I'm gonna get when I'll be 75. I don't really care for it. But now next week I'm going to meet with the guys, your corporate guys in Marriott from Innovation. So I decided to book a room and stay at the Marriott. I mean, even though that I'm meeting also with Choice and Hilton, but here's my first meeting, so I said, we'll stay with Marriott. So I looked for a place. It was searching it, even on Expedia or stuff like this, was not easy at all. Even though we think that that's the technology, still you need to get out all the time to Google and try and find information that you cannot find on their site. But more so, when I went and I booked it, first, the rate was lower than the one on Expedia, and second, they instantly signed me up to Marriott Rewards, and then when I put my email, they realized that I'm a Ritz-Carlton, which was nice. It was very refreshing, and then they told me, please call this number to merge your account. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to call this number. So when you see customer today and they come to your hotel from a CRM perspective, do you already see, does Marriott give you a view of the customers and having all the places they stay with, like all the different brands, and the status is one, or is it still more segmented by brand?
Great question. This has
a
been
long one.
Yes, it's a long one, and I'll try to touch on each of these areas because they're very important. On one side, and with the recent acquisition of Starwood as well, we've had to merge all the loyalty, the rewards memberships. So if you're converting from SPG to Marriott or Ritz-Carlton or vice versa, there's members at Marriott.com that their guests go online and link their accounts. The higher of the category between the two brands is the one that's respected, and the benefits are the same. The reason being is that with acquisition, many people in this room may know that SPG was one of the most innovative loyalty programs and most beneficial when it comes to value. And Ritz-Carlton and Marriott system has been one also built over the years that's improved. So combining the two, we really wanted to find that benchmark to have, obviously, the return to the guests and to simplify the process as well. I feel, and for the startup today, which is very, very important, is that I still feel that destination-wise, and I come back to the point within Israel, it's a unique market. And let's say irrespective of the rooms that come, or the reservations through rooms, many of the international hotels need to promote other services or facilities of the hotel. Let's say two would be, for example, the restaurants. Another one, for example, would be the spa. And locally, you need to attract the audience, because I'll give you an example. In our hotel, Herbert Samuel's restaurant is our signature restaurant. And the brand of Herbert Samuel's comes through the Strauss family. And we're very lucky to have the partnership and ownership of Strauss family and the TTI group, who built the hotel with a lot of technology and modern touch as well, which is excellent. So when we market and promote Herbert Samuel's, we also market and promote it separately to the Ritz-Carlton brand. So we look at local companies, we look at digital marketing, we look at different types of marketing, because the majority of our guests over 60% coming to that restaurant for lunch and dinner are coming from outside the hotel, meaning non-hotel guests. The same way with the spa. You're promoting the spa, treatments and etc. And you want to promote online, you want to have seasonal promotions time to time. So even though the rewards members do get the benefits that the structure's built when they use those facilities, on the other side, you still need to attract that local market to come into the hotel. So it's a little bit of a catch-22, and you have to work both sides to make sure that you can pick the fruit at the end of the day and you benefit in all these areas and run the business successfully.
It's the million-dollar question of how local versus global you want to be, and how much do you want to allow your unit or your region to be more independent in their marketing versus global. And sometimes you need to combine the two, which from a technological perspective, it makes it very difficult. Let me just ask, are there any questions? I should have sat there. Yes, Ariel, can we pass the mic, please? If you can just say your name and which company you're with. Yeah.
Do you hear me? Yeah. Hi, my name is Nadine from Accessible, and I'm asking or having a startup about accessibility information. But I want to actually ask you about CRM and Stefan, that you are working with data. How are you adapting to, or given that data bases actually on behavior of people, how do you adapt or integrate the notion of changing demographics, meaning that people get older, people, the baby boomers are now in pension, have more time, have more money, will go more travel, and them having accessibility needs is an issue. How do you tackle it, Ned and Shai, like physically? Do you adapt rooms and services? And Stefan, how would you integrate it in your data systems?
Great question. I'll learn the sentence from you. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, a lot of things in the world are going into the young people. This is the trend. Actually, we have new brands in Fatal going to the young people. It's a hot topic that we're actually having meetings about it now regarding this, what you call baby boomers, because, for example, in Germany, there's a huge population becoming old, if you like. It's affecting everything from the way they book to the stay in the hotel and afterwards. So all what we talked about here in technology is actually sometimes not so much for them, but it's exactly in the CRM, or what we are going to work into CRM, which is now being implemented on a higher level, actually first in Israel and afterwards in Europe. This will be part of the pattern behavior, if you like. But we have to be very careful in Europe. You have to be very careful with data shoots, privacy laws. So if the customer doesn't give you his age, you're not allowed to ask. So there's a lot of things that need to be entered into it, and sometimes you don't know if they're not new age until they come. But now we start also to ask questions about a lot of groups that are coming in. And but not always we have the information. This is point number one. But we try to adapt it into more. It will change between the people. The American baby boomers are much more modernized, but the European baby boomers are a bit different. So I cannot give you an exact answer, but definitely it's part of the points that we want to have in the pattern behaviors within the CRM. To take care of it, let's say it like that. But we are not there yet. It's on the way.
From a data analyst perspective, that's a perfect question, because you always need to make a decision based on incomplete data. You never will have all the boxes ticked that this person falls in that particular category. And the challenge of operational CRM from that perspective is ultimately there will be the segment of one, so each offer needs to be very much targeted to the individual that combines a hotel room offer, with a spa offer, with a restaurant offer, with additional stuff that comes in from the local surroundings of the hotel. And that offer needs to be so specific and so targeted that price comparison becomes less and less relevant. And if you have the forward-looking analytics built in your system to put that data in front of the person who makes that decision, be it at the front desk, at the reception, at the reservation office, then you made the kind of the right moves from an IT agility perspective. But this requires, again, and I come back to what Ron said, really implementing all those systems, making them work as one, to give each and every employee the power to make decisions based on all the information that is available. And that's, I think, is the big challenge. That is kind of a meta answer to that particular, because you could extend this from the baby boomer to the generation Y or Z. They all have different needs, and no hotel would ever be able to, from a physical perspective, really address it and say, I build a hotel specifically for that target group or for that target group. What you need to build is the offer, and that offer needs to be based on smart data analytics.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. We're out of time. We will
Thank you.
start a little bit late. Thank you very much.